Welcome back, everyone, to the IOA. And I am your host, Dr. Malaika, and I am super glad to have you back for episode 4. So hopefully you have been with us since the very beginning. And every week we are gathering in this space so that we can pause, so that we can reflect, and so that we can root ourselves in practices that honor our wholeness. This week's episode is talking about community care is self-care. Now, if you've ever been told anything about self-care, you often felt like it was something that you had to do alone. That's the concept. It's in the word. We think that it's about me being by myself. So oftentimes we think of things like taking bubble baths. We think about buying candles and having aromatherapy. We think about disappearing and having solitude time, doing this alone. But what we have to understand is that that's what we've been sold. We've been sold the idea and the concept of separating from each other, isolating from each other, and removing connection, which is something that is necessary. Now, I'm not saying that we don't want to have time alone in solitude, because solitude definitely has its place, but it leaves out something vital. It leaves out the truth that our healing has always been communal. So when we care for the community, we are also caring for ourselves. When the village is well, we are also well. And so we're going to get into this episode, and we're going to start it off with a rooted reflection. Be back in just a second. Welcome back to the episode. I want us to take a moment to sit with this. The mainstream media has made self-care a movement to the point to where it has become a consumer brand. They are telling us things like, if you're burnt out, buy this. If you're stressed, escape to this resort. If you're exhausted, fix it yourself. But for us, the members of the African diaspora, that has never been our story. That is not where we come from. Our survival, our resilience, our joy has all come through community. It's always been about the collective. I want you to think about this. Our enslaved ancestors literally braided rice seeds into their hair because they wanted to preserve a future harvest. They weren't sure who this harvest would impact, but they had presence of mind to think about the community and those who were going to come after them. Black churches, we organize, we have food and clothing drives, we do different things for families in need. Again, not just thinking about ourselves, but making sure that the collective is okay. Civil rights organizers, when they were doing the work back in those days, they made sure that they had spaces where people could come as they were doing the work. They slept on each other's couches. They pooled together their resources. They combined money, time, all the different things to keep these moments alive. All of these things that I've mentioned, and probably other examples that you can think of, these are acts of self-care. But the way they were expressed was through community. This is the concept that I want us to embrace with this episode. I want us to understand that our very lifeblood, our very existence, our very ability to persevere, our very resilience is built in the connection that we have had to one another. I want you to just think about where we are currently in the certain climate that we have in this country. When we think about how we have had to, in times past and still today, band together to create resources that did not exist because we were locked out of them. The beauty of the things that we created was the fact that there was a need. We may have been impacted. We may have individually needed self-care, but we created a collective space that made the entire community healthy and whole. And in that, we saw flourishing and growth. It is in pretty much every practice that we have as members of the diaspora. Being a Black American is a unique experience. One of the things that we have seen is we have had to learn alternative ways to do things because things were not there for us or we were locked out of things. And in that, we built a certain resilience. That resilience wasn't just for one person or two people or a specific group. That resilience literally was for the whole community. And how do I know? We live right now on the shoulders of those who did that work. And so when I'm saying community care is self-care, we're returning to a deeper wisdom that we have sometimes gotten away from because self-care has been made so commercial. We have learned that I can't be whole if you're falling apart, and you can't be whole if I'm being neglected. And so I want us to embody this belief system even more so now with all the things that are on ground. We really need to embody this. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we're come back, we're going to talk about the interdependence of healing. I think it'll be a good way for us to transition a little bit deeper into understanding the concept of community care being self-care. We will be back in just a second. Welcome back. We are talking about community care being self-care, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into this. And I wanted to give you this Ghanaian proverb. It says that the left arm washes the right and the right arm washes the left. This is literally the essence of what it means to be in community care. One arm can't watch itself. We need who we are connected to in order for us to make sure that we are healthy and we are whole. Our modern society, especially for those of us who live in the United States, is deeply individualistic. It praises independence. It praises grind culture, getting it out the mud for yourself and figuring it out on your own, and the idea that success must be done alone. What we are falling away from is the fact that interdependence has always been our way as members of the diaspora. As Black people, it's what we know. Although we have been disconnected from that soil, it is embedded in our DNA that our very existence, the reason why we are still thriving in spite of all the challenges that we have been through, has been because of the interdependence. And so here are some things that you can look at as examples of what community care can look like for you. Checking in, a simple practice. It sometimes doesn't seem like it's enough, but simply checking in, noticing what's going on with your friend. If they've been silent, if they've been removed, if you haven't heard from them, if their practice or pattern has changed, just a simple call to ask if they are okay is community care. Sharing resources. I'm really big on this. I believe that we don't gatekeep. If I have something that's effective, if I have a skill or I have an expertise, I am open to sharing that with anyone that is connected to me, whether I know them personally or the way I'm sharing these resources with you through this podcast, books, and other spaces. I believe in sharing resources. Also, look at things like mutual aid, community pooling of money together in order to be able to pay for different things or help people who may not have the ability to afford particular services or products that they need. There is a commercial that I hear very often, and I'm trying to think of the name of the company specifically, but the concept behind it is it's Christian people that get together and they pool together financial resources almost in a shared pool way to where it allows them to be able to afford medical expenses, checkups, and doctor's visits and things of that nature outside the structure of traditional insurance. And the concept is beautiful because it's built on community, which is very much being interdependent, and making sure that everybody is okay. So that mutual aid goes a long, long way. Another example, cultural rituals, the fact that we gather together as women when a woman has a new baby and becomes a mother. We are there to share, not asking for her to bounce back or to recover or to be able to do all these things on her own, but we show up letting her know we are here with you. We are here to share in this, and we're surrounding you with the care, compassion, and the nourishment that you need. All of these things are examples of us leaning into community, leaning into being interdependent, and understanding that there's strength in our connection to one another. Notice what is happening with these examples that I've shared with you. All of these examples show one person's action rippling outward to impact in a positive way other people. The one who is receiving feels supported. The one who is giving feels a sense of purpose. All are feeling loved, and all are feeling a belonging. That is the reason why I say community care is self-care. Because not only is it restoring the giver, it's also restoring the receiver. And here's the key. Receiving is just as sacred as giving. Some of us struggle to accept help. It's okay for people to assist you. If this is you, I'm not calling people by name. I'm not making you feel shame. There's no judgment here. But I want you to understand that it's okay for you to receive. And when we do that, we are honoring the circle that we belong to. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we are going to do an IAPAUSE guided practice for this episode. Be back in just a second.
Before we continue, Dr. Malaika wants to invite you deeper into this journey. If the reflections and practices here on the Aya Way podcast are resonating with you, she wrote a book that goes even further. It's called Rooted in Resilience, A Journey Toward Collective Healing. This book is more than pages. It's a guide, a companion, and a set of tools to help you ground yourself, honor your story, and find strength in community. Whether you're listening on your commute, journaling at home, or sharing these episodes with loved ones, the book gives you space to dig deeper through exercises, reflections, and wisdom that expands on what we explore together here. You can order Rooted in Resilience today at MalaikaMBrown.com. That's MalaikaMBrown.com. She'd love for you to walk this healing journey with her, both here in the podcast and through the book.
Welcome back to episode 4, and we are going to go into an IAPAUSE guided practice together. So I want you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in and out. Again, take a deep breath in and out. Now bring to mind the faces of people who have cared for you. Who has held you up when you couldn't stand on your own, whether it's figuratively or literally? Who showed up for you in small, quiet ways? Maybe it was the elder that prayed for you without you even knowing. Maybe it was the soror who drove across town to sit with you. Maybe it was the friend that sent you a cash app when you were stretched financially thin. Breathe in gratitude in this moment right now for them. Breathe out belief that you must carry everything alone. Get rid of that. Push that out. Now gently ask yourself, who is one person that I can reach for or reach out to this week? Picture that person. Picture that face. Picture that name. And now gently ask yourself, what can I do to invite them into my community care practice for this week? Think about the ways that you can connect and go forth with them. And as the music fades out, I want you to keep this person or people's name on your mind, because this is the call of action for you for this week. I'll get into it a little bit deeper in a second, but this is going to be one of the calls of action to make sure you connect in community with this person. We will be back in just a second. Welcome back to the episode. I wanted to have a quick moment of reflection, and I wanted to share something from my own journey. There was a season when I had a lot of things on my plate. My father had passed away, so I still was processing and dealing with that. My husband was caring for my mother-in-law and dealing with just the overwhelming nature of having to be a caregiver to a parent, and also trying to make sure your home is also okay in the midst of all of that. And so while I was giving him the space to do that during COVID, I was also trying to manage the household and make sure things were good here, while also trying to work from home and all the different responsibilities I had. And I was also still doing things within my church. I was still doing things within the community, within the sorority, all these different things. And my thought process was get better organized. And by being better organized, I would be okay. I can do all these things. And what I realized was I was running on fumes. And it took people that were connected to me, people that knew me, people that understood me, to basically say, almost short of showing up at my door, that I needed to not carry all of these things by myself. The constant check-ins that I would get, the invitations just to go out to have something to eat or grab coffee or whatever that may be. It seemed small, but in the moments, those moments were necessary. And so that shifted something for me. It also made me want to be that for other people. So what was given to me, I wanted to make sure I was able to give that to others. And I'm hyper aware of that now when I see people doing too much or taking on things or feeling like they have to put on this cape to be this superhuman that is not expected of them. I want to remind them, and I want to remind you, that you have a community. You're connected to people that care about you. You're connected to people whose well-being depends on you. And even though it doesn't seem like it, there are people that you will never see, that you do not know, whose well-being is also dependent on you being okay. I want you to take a moment like that. Think about in your life when someone's presence, not necessarily the effort, just their presence, is what saved you in that moment. This is what we do when we want to build a culture of care. This is what it looks like. This is not charity. We're not feeling sorry for you. We're not pitying you. It's reciprocity. It's giving what people have given to us in the past. It may be paying it forward to the next person. Whatever that looks like, it's a reminder that we belong to one another and that our very survival is dependent on making sure that all of us in the community are okay. Take that with you. Going to take another quick break. We're going to come back and I'm going to give you the call of action for this episode. Be back in just a second. Welcome back, and we're going to give our call to action for this episode. I have 3 for you this week. Typically I do 1 or 2, but this week I have 3. The first one is a journal reflection. I'm big on journaling because I feel that putting language to things, making it tangible, is a very effective tool. And so I want you to write on this question. Where have you been carrying the lie that you must do everything alone? Where in your life have you been carrying the lie that you must do everything on your own? The next thing I challenge you to do one act of care. Reach out to one person this week. It could be the person that you identified during the Aya pause, but I want you to reach out to one person. It could be a text. It could be taking them a meal or taking them out for a meal. It could be offering to babysit. It could simply be, how are you really? Whatever that looks like, I challenge you to do one act of care for this week. And then the last call to action I have is simply this: have a community conversation. I want you to share your story or reflection with us the same way I asked in episode 3, and start really making this communal to where we are sharing out with one another, connecting in our struggles, in our successes, in our highs and our lows, but we're really sharing out and connecting to those around us. And make sure that as you do this as part of the community conversation, whatever platform that you are seeing this on, that you use the hashtag IOA podcast. Let's remind each other that we do not have to do this alone. We are not here by ourselves, because remember, care is contagious, and what you give will often return back to you. We are back, everyone, to close out the episode, and we are talking about community care is self-care. So to close us out, we remembered that self-care isn't just individual, it's collective. When we care for the village, we are caring for ourselves too. So I want us to embody this, make this a practice, build our skills when it comes to community. The more we do it, the more it becomes part of our DNA, and the easier it is for us to do this. And I want us to take this concept and build upon it a little more as we go into next week, where we will be talking about in episode 5, the soil, reclaiming wellness our way. Now, I'm excited about this because there's a lot of different concepts that I talk about in the book Rooted in Resilience. And one of the concepts I talk about is the soil. So we'll really be digging into this. So until then, I want you to do all the things that I've challenged you with. Take these calls of action seriously, move forward in them. Get the book. If you do not have the book, remember, you can go to my website, malaikambrown.com, and you can purchase the book. I also have a link in the description for the podcast episode where you can click and it will take you directly to the store where you can purchase your copy. You want to jump on this, you want to get the manual, the blueprint that we are using for all of this work that we are doing, so that you have a guide and an understanding of these concepts. So until next week, I want you to stay rooted, to close out the episode, and I want you to remember that you do not have to do this alone. Community care. Until next week, self-care. Have a great rest of your day. So to close us out, we remembered that self-care isn't just individual, it's collective. When we care for the village, we are caring for ourselves too. So I want us to embody this, make this a practice, build our skills when it comes to community. The more we do it, the more it becomes part of our DNA, and the easier it is for us to do this. And I want us to take this concept and build upon it a little more as we go into next week, where we will be talking about in episode 5, the soil, reclaiming wellness our way. Now, I'm excited about this because there's a lot of different concepts that I talk about in the book Rooted in Resilience. And one of the concepts I talk about is the soil. So we'll really be digging into this. So until then, I want you to do all the things that I've challenged you with. Take these calls of action seriously, move forward in them. Get the book. If you do not have the book, remember, you can go to my website, malaikambrown.com, and you can purchase the book. I also have a link in the description for the podcast episode where you can click and it will take you directly to the store where you can purchase your copy. You want to jump on this. You want to get the manual, the blueprint that we are using for all of this work that we are doing so that you have a guide and an understanding of these concepts. So until next week, I want you to stay rooted. I want you to stay whole. And I want you to remember that you do not have to do this alone. Until next week, have a great rest of your day.